And prior to that, I mean, even before we got to the place of COVID, there were already challenges happening in the marketplace. You know, there's this global market or global demand for premium content, and our ecosystem was already engaged in a battle to survive. I mean, there's a lot of businesses in our ecosystem that are challenged with the ability to stay profitable and stay competitive, right? This is an example of how our ecosystem is cannibalizing itself, right? You have cord cutting, which means basically the major media cable providers are losing tons and tons of revenue because subscribers no longer want to pay these exorbitant cable bills. They'd rather just go to streaming services. But also these paid TV these cable providers are part of huge media conglomerates that own both cable networks and cable subscription companies. And they're fighting with the streaming services and each other for eyeballs, for viewership. So they're engaged in what we call the streaming wars, or this arms race of spending in order to maintain a dominance in the marketplace. So production budgets for shows are mushrooming like to hundreds of millions of dollars per episode, where years ago was a fraction of that. Now, also, another example of how the ecosystem is cannibalizing itself, the streaming services are buying up rights to a lot of the independent films or the smaller films that are being released because they have to service their own ecosystems when it comes to their SVOD services or their over-the-top services. But doing that is really putting a lot of pressure on independent distributors in the theatrical feature space and putting them out of business. So, and not to mention, again, at the end of this crazy chain of events are the theater chains, the actual exhibitors that are in more and more pressure because the streaming services, as well as the major studios, no longer want to continue with these long exhibition windows of 3 months. They much rather exhibit content during a shorter period of time so they can monetize it on their platforms.